the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian. What else we feel like talking about this week.
Oh, somebody's got their volume up too loud. Brian, hello and welcome. It is time for episode 287 of the Ron and Brian podcast. Thank you for joining us on this football Sunday. Some of you just finishing up watching that Green Bay Dallas game. And for those of you subscribing at the platinum level of Patreon or higher, you were privileged to receive Brian's Sunday afternoon lock of the week. He told you take the Packers money line and the over. And hopefully there was a number of you out there that listened because that paid off big, Brian. I mean, ballsy call. I don't think anyone saw the Packers dismantling the Cowboys 48-32. But you were confident and said, don't take Green Bay +7. Just take the straight line.
What I did not even say, Ron, is that I placed myself, my own money. I placed a line on Green Bay -20. Got a special line from Caesars Sportsbook out in Macau. First off, I'm paying off my mortgage tomorrow. With the winnings.
All right, nice.
That, I'm paying off the mortgage tomorrow. After that, I'm going to be buying some child labor. I'm thinking child labor is it's the wave of the future. Get a couple kids, do some of the cleaning, maybe some of the cooking work around the place.
I got to imagine the kids begin here with the screwdriver than you are. So I mean, that might be.
I was waiting for you to stop me, and you just kind of let me go, and I was a little disappointed on that. I thought,
I feel I always like to give you enough rope to implicate yourself in the Southern District of New York.
And I do it all the time. I keep doing it.
You do. Well, let's get started, Brian. It's time for Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Sláinte.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
So, Brian, what have you brought as your drink of the week this week?
For my drink of the week, and I'm sorry, my throat's a little sore. Did a lot of singing, a lot of screaming over this weekend. My drink of the week is coming all the way from Masham, Yorkshire.
Governor,
in it. We're looking at Black Sheep Ale in a lovely 500 milligram bottle. And what are you going to say when I tell you that I'm drinking Black Sheep Ale? You're going to sit there and say, Brian, let me see what it looks like. Oh, take a look. Ooh,
that's nice. It's almost got a reddish hue to it.
Damn right. I would like to refer to that as an amber. This is a well-rounded premium amber ale packed with an array of British hops and a complex malt blend. The alt blend combined with our house yeast offers dry fruit flavors along with an unmistakable hint of bear drops. Caramel and biscuity notes from a malt blend create a base of bright orange and fruity notes to shine. This bottle beer is infinitely sorry. Apologies. So this bottled beer is infinitely balanced and complex, perfect on any day of the week. Coming in at a very weak 4.4 ABV. This is Black Sheep Ale.
All right, take a sip. Let me know what you think.
This is actually quite enjoyable.
Another sip, a second
Except
sip.
I'm going to say this.
Yes.
It's almost got like a little bit of a seltzer aftertaste that I'm not really enjoying. Like when it's on the tongue, I like, but after you swallow it, it tastes like I've just had some unflavored seltzer.
How many times have I heard?
I'll drink this, but
anyway.
All right, Ron. Let me ask you, what is your drink of the week this week other than fucking jizz?
So my drink of the week, a little under the weather today, some stomach issues today. So I'm skipping the alcohol, going with coffee today, Brian, from our good friends at Kittytown Coffee, based out of Lebanon, PA. It is coffee for a purpose, Brian. Every bag of coffee you purchase goes to feed homeless kittens for a week. So it's a good cause. Bought some for the wife for Christmas, and they sent like a little surprise sampler. All the coffees are named after cats in the rescue. So this one is Robust Roy. It is a medium roast, and they say that it is chocolate peach brown sugar. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to go. I did, just to be bougie like you, broke out my little pour over, my Chemex. So made myself a nice cup of coffee. So let's have a sip and see how Kittytown coffee is.
Now, it's very rare for Ron to go from beer to coffee, but he's drinking coffee. Let's see how he likes his coffee. Went for a second sip. Ron,
it's good. I'm getting the chocolate. I'm getting the brown sugar. I'm not getting a lot of the peach, which is fine. That was the only portion of the flavor profile that I was worried about. It's a damn fine cup of coffee. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, he's going for sip number 3.
So again, that's Kittytown Coffee. For those animal lovers out there, go to kittytowncoffee.com and help support your local rescue. And as always, adopt, don't shop. Isn't that right, Brian?
Damn right. Now I have a question. Is that cat named Roy Hobbs, the greatest there ever was?
Maybe it does not give a last name, but let's just assume that it was.
Well, let's hope that Roy is right now sleeping in a warm home and not in a concrete shelter.
Yes, very good. Very good. Beef of the week time.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I'll tell you what's bothering me this week. It's the dry winter air combined with the drier apartment heat that I have been required because it's been so cold this week that I basically have not been able to breathe out of my nose for the past, I would say, about 5 days. And if anybody wants to hear, let's see if we can let's try and do some ASMR over here for your Sunday night pleasures. Here's Brian breathing out of his nose. Like, it is unbearable. What's happened also is, and this is a first, it has not happened in previous years. The entire inner side, the skin portion of the nostril, not the bony side, the outer side of the nostril, creates this entire layer of crust. It's not COVID. Jesus Christ, you people, just merciless. It creates this crust that covers the entire side of the nostril. So when nobody's looking, I just kind of go in with the pinky, and this thing comes out in one piece. I would take a photo to share it on my Instagram, but I don't think it's going to get a lot of likes. It is so odd because normally the mucus comes out as a slimy or a watery type material. This is one, it's like a shield. It's like a shield for the nostrils, but and also because I'm a white male in my 50s, it starts to click onto the nose hairs that I have. So just yanking it out, you're getting some hairs too. So it's been a wild ride this week, Ron, and not happy with it.
Janelle makes a good point. Why not get yourself a humidifier?
What am I going to do? I'm going to take it all over the place?
Well, no, but if part of the problem is your apartment heat, then you set that up in one up in your bedroom, one up in your living room.
Well, that's because somebody, I don't point fingers here, doesn't really think we need to use the heat very much because it's not that cold. It's actually, it's quite warm in the apartment. So some of us keep turning the heat off, even though it's 32 degrees outside.
Understood. I understand. We won't say who that is, though.
No.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes, my friend.
Ron.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
What's bothering you?
Well, real quick, I want to just address a question out there. Janelle said, Ron, how can I have coffee if my stomach is upset? I don't know about you, Brian. I can drink coffee at any time. Like, it actually soothes my stomach, I find.
Same.
Especially if I go with like a medium or a light roast. That's just...
Yeah, no.
I feel the healing power of the coffee already.
Is there, the way you drink coffee like the British drink tea? A little spot of tea.
That's right. Some digestive biscuits to go along with that. Anyway, so you want to know what's bothering me this week, Brian? And I guess it's a beef not for myself, Brian, but it's a beef for people out there because I'm a caring person. I give and I give and I give until it hurts.
Give.
Yes, the other day I had to run over to our veterinarians. I had to pick up a prescription refill for one of our cats. And so kind of going back a few years after the start of the pandemic, our vet started offering like an online pharmacy through their website, which it wasn't their pharmacy. They clearly had partnered with like another company and like you clicked through and it was just like a whole different platform and everything else. And so they were like, oh, buy stuff off of here. But if you looked at their pricing versus like Chewy.com, PetSmart, California Pet Pharmacy, whatever, like there was on some things it was similar. On other stuff, it was way cheaper to not buy there. Like if you remember former mascot of the show, Paisley, she had medication.
Love Paisley.
That's right. She had medication to control her seizures. I would say for a 3-month prescription, there was a good $50 difference between where I would buy it and the pharmacy, the pharmacy website. Now,
really,
you could Now, the good thing is they would approve prescriptions digitally so that you can get stuff from Chewy.com. You can get stuff from California Pet Pharmacy. So I'm in there, I'm picking up my prescription, and I notice that there is a sign on the counter letting people know that as of January 1st of this year, they will no longer be digitally approving prescriptions for animals for anything other than their online pharmacy. And that if you want to order like from Chewy.com or what have you, you will have to come to the vet's office, pick up a physical copy of a written prescription, and then you'll have to send that into whatever your other online pharmacy is. And I just thought that was kind of
got to be illegal.
There are people out there that have difficulty. Is it illegal? I would love to turn them in. Oh, I would love to narc on them. Oh, all right. I'm gonna need some help from you, Johanna. I'll supply you with the information. We'll take these fuckers down. Like I have to think also there's like elderly people that, can't get into the office easily. It just seems like a cash grab, like a dick move. Like if it's me, tell me if I'm being unrealistic, but I just thought it was a bit of a dick move.
No, I think in all honesty, especially, with the advancements in modern day capitalism, that you as the consumer should have more and more options. And this seems to be an avenue where your veterinarian has obviously partnered with somewhere where they say, we are only working with this one avenue for you to obtain the prescriptions for your animals. And, just as a cynic, but also a realist, I feel that this has to be the more profitable way for your for this veterinarian to make more money.
Yeah, but it's not. And again, it's not like they're just cheap in general. Like I know if I'm going there, if I'm going to see a vet, I'm walking out at least $150 later, regardless of what it is.
Of course,
regardless of what it is. If it's a vet tech, $75. But it's not like it's not like they're not getting you for every dollar you possibly can already.
Of course. I mean, listen, you and I both know that the veterinarian industry is rife with hucksters, with profiteers, carpetbaggers. I saw JoJo on Friday night out in Long Island. She literally was lighting $100 bills for heat out by the merch booth. Just showed up with a post office bag filled with hundreds and was just burning them for fun.
Well, and I noticed in some of the photos she posted, she had one of those Cruella de Vil long coats made out of 101 Dalmatian skins, which I thought was tone deaf, if I have to say.
Not only that, but I remember I said to her, I was like, that's faux, correct? That's faux fur. And she said, fuck you. That's real fur. You
Very
jerk
nice.
off. And I was just like, why would you call me a jerk off? She said, no. Slapped me in the face and then walked away, which she's a cruel one. She's a cruel one, that JoJo.
Little does she know those are a couple of your kinks right there.
Which would explain why I had to immediately walk away and come back with new pants
on. So real quick. Oh, yes, I do want you. Well, you're not helping me, Johanna. You're helping the animals is what it comes down to.
See, even Janelle thinks Janelle's like, yeah, exactly. You're helping the animals.
I mean, what did Johanna really want to do to you at that moment? Oh, she wanted to spay and neuter you. Well, I mean, I guess you got off light with the face slap then. So Brian, our first points of the year were scored in the 2024 death pool. Joyce Randolph, the last living actor from the classic TV series The Honeymooners, passed away in her sleep Saturday at her New York City home, according to her son, Randolph Richard Charles, passing away at the age of 99. So 1 point goes to Dom and John. And so already just the 14th of January, we have co-leaders in the death pool.
There you go. John B right there with his
There you go. John B got it. So right now in a tie for first place with Dom. And speaking of death pools, as is the tradition, we always bring on the winner of last year's death pool to talk about their win, their strategies, and their outlook for 2023 or 2024. So without any further ado, let's bring in our 2023 winner, William Esquire.
Hello, guys.
Come on, Brian. Get a little applause going.
I would use our backing track, but the last time we did that, I was notified that Warner Brothers had come after us for that copyright. Bastards.
There are some issues. So, William, congratulations on your win. It was I think a runaway. I think you took the lead early in the year and did not let it go. Brian was close behind you, but could not seem to finish strong. And you finished what, 78 points? Was it 76 points? Excuse me.
Yeah, it was. Well, 76 more than some people had. We'll say that. Brian.
It wasn't a great year. It wasn't a great year for me, I admit.
Although
let's focus on Billy first. William, 76 points, the most of all entries in 2023. I see you've got your background right now. I imagine those are the 5 people you scored off of. Walk us through what was your methodology in making your picks for 2023 that scored you the first place prize?
Well, I say it's a combination of being aware of older, more obscure celebrities that other people might not pick. And also, in some cases, just knowing certain celebrities who have had health issues over the years. In the cases of we have here in the middle, that would be David Crosby's mustache. He had been ill for years. A few people scored on him, I believe.
He was dropping babies left and right, that David Crosby. You went after Ted Kaczynski. Now, is that because you embrace all forms of technology?
No, just thought he'd be a good pick.
You went after, is that superstar Billy Graham? Several years before his death, I'm assuming.
Yes, he's been on my list for a few years, knowing that he has had health issues for years, and it's almost miraculous that he survived as long as he did.
I believe that photo was when he was still on the juice.
Yeah, yes. That's World Championship era from the 70s, so yeah, for sure.
Now I have a question. Is that a photo of Eddie Deason right in between Dave Crosby and Billy Graham?
No, that is the late Mark Russell, political comedian and satirist. Eddie Deason.
Yeah, I feel like it. Now at this point, I got a bone to pick with you on this Mark Russell. I never heard this fucker. I don't know that. Like when you say you go obscure, I feel like at this point, and I'm not trying to belittle your victory. Kudos to you. It is an impressive it's, I don't want people to accuse me of being petty because I did not win. No, Lord knows I'm not a petty person.
Well,
not petty at all.
We could take out the points that I scored for Mark Russell, and I'd still be ahead of you.
I don't know. Yeah, but your focus on the obscure, I think, was really what got me. John Moshida Jr. Who is that?
The world's fastest talking man.
Did all those commercials years ago.
Yeah.
I thought Eminem was the fastest talker when he was like the. I
mean, Brian, I think there's a level of arrogance there that because you're not aware of someone that makes them obscure. It's not a good
I don't
look.
think that it's necessarily. Listen, I think to a certain extent, all I want to do is just hold people accountable. One of the things that my championship. Listen, let's not go off on a tangent here, Ron.
Of course not.
This is Williams' moment to shine. To pat himself on the back and be like, he is the champion. I did reach out to Brian May earlier this week to see if we could get the licensing rights to Queen's We Are the Champions. We did want to play that for you. We spend a significant amount of time negotiating back on forth. In terms of rates, we could not come to an agreement, unfortunately. Really thought Ron was going to kick in a little bit more money to cover his 50% of it. Apparently kept saying something about a pool fund, and he needed to pay his concrete guy. I don't really understand that. And then Pat Robertson.
Well, first, before we leave Mark Russell, I will actually defend William, despite him very hurtfully constantly mentioning I scored no points last year. I would say this, if you're a person that has watched PBS, especially during their fundraising time, you would be aware of Mark Russell, because that would be when they constantly would offer the Mark Russell DVDs for a sponsorship of like $50 or more.
Interesting. Ron, you said you did not score any points in 2023?
I might not have scored any points last year. And that's okay. We play for the fun.
Ron, how long has it been since you scored a point on the death pool?
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling you have an exact number of days and can tell me.
435 days since November 5th, 2022, when troubled Aaron Carter, was found dead in his bathroom after he had pooped all over the floor.
But that was a good pick.
Seen the photos.
That was a very good pick.
That was a solid pick. I need another one of those this year. So in looking at kind of going year to year, William, it looked like you carried a significant number of your misses this past year over, with just some few exceptions. What was your thought process going into this year?
I basically replaced the people who I got points for with other quality candidates, I believe.
I have to admit, I like the Mikhail Baryshnikov pick, because he hasn't been well, has he?
No, I believe there's a few.
Mikhail Baryshnikov?
Yeah.
Listen, I know that, there was a lot going on this year with the Ukraine-Russian war, but I think rooting for Russians to die is just, it's beneath where we should be.
I don't know that he's rooting, but
nothing. Okay. No, it feels like it. Now you went after Rupert Murdoch. What's your logic there?
Most reports state that most people believe he wouldn't leave Fox News, or rather a News Corp, unless he was actually ill. And he's had a lot of doctor's visits lately.
All right. What about Mary Jo Catlett? Who is she?
She was one of the maids from Different Strokes, and apparently she's had some of her own lately.
Michael Flatley, Lord terrible. Of the Dance. That's
sorry.
And then let's go. Not only that, but and this is where I think William really, crossed the line in terms of decency, going after famed Elkins Park, Pennsylvania resident William Cosby. Hasn't Elkins Park, Pennsylvania been through enough that not only are you, just the obvious, but we're also going to say that Bill Cosby should die?
Well, I know Elkins Park is going through quite the problem right now with construction of a massive pool that is happening. But regardless of that, Bill Cosby's in his 80s. He's had some concerns. I don't know how much longer we'll have him around.
Interesting. Now, if I'm not correct, I do recall there is a monetary award that goes along with winning the Ron and Brian podcast death pool. There has been some talk as to whether that dollar amount is 100 or 150. Ron, we asked you to look into that earlier this week. What was the number?
You didn't ask me. You must have asked Matt to look into it.
No, I think
we'll still have to confirm that number.
Question is this: we'll Matt, if you can do us a favor, take a look. Maybe we'll have the number. But William, I heard you mention recently that you were going to donate, instead of taking the cash winnings yourself directly, you were going to donate that to charity. I think that's such a great idea. I forgot who mentioned it to me. Do you want to talk about the charity?
I believe it's the William Esquire Debt Fund.
Now that's a tax-free that's a tax-exempt organization.
Is that a 501c3?
No, but
so question: rather than accept cash, could we perhaps interest you in a new merch product? Because how are you feeling about yourself lately, William? How are you feeling about the world? How have you been?
All right, mostly.
Mostly. So you're agreeing that there's room for improvement. And that's why I'd like to send you some bottles of Ron and Brian colloidal bronze, because colloidal silver is for bitches. So this 8-ounce bottle right here would normally retail for $59.99. I will send you 4 of these bottles for winning, and that is actually 2 days worth of the recommended serving of colloidal bronze. So we'll get that out to you, and you'll be feeling better than yourself in no time.
Congratulations.
Does it come with,
you'll feel empowered.
Tote bag?
Tote bag? Well, it depends on are you willing to do the work, William, to get the tote bag?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where are your 5 people that the funny thing is it actually is one of my cooking oils, but that's besides the point. You were supposed to bring 5 followers, William. Have you brought 5 yet?
Yes, there are a picture of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about the cult. I mean, Ron and Brian Society later. So, William, how do you think your chances are? Congratulations. But what do you think your chances are for 2024? Looking at some of the other choices that people have made out there.
I think it's pretty good. Obviously, 2 people scored a point today, which does put them in the lead. But I think my chances are pretty good. Ron, you've got a pretty solid list, although I thought your Ted Shackelford pick a few years ago was solid, just didn't pan out. I'll tell you where I might not do well this year is a few people have Steve McMichael and Shannon Doherty on their list. I don't.
Feels like perhaps a bit of a miss.
Yeah, I also try not to pick people who would necessarily upset me too much. And Steve McMichael, being a pro wrestling fan, he did his time. He did well.
So you're saying?
So what do you have again? Hold on.
So you're fine with Jack Hanna dying, is what you're saying?
Yeah. What about Ben? You're rooting against Ben Vereen? What did that poor man ever do against you?
I don't necessarily be rooting against him. Just he wouldn't upset me as much as others would.
I mean, Davey Berkowitz, the man was a dog lover. I mean, we're all about the pets here.
None of that. He was a U.S. postal carrier. I mean, a man who gave his career to the federal government to ensure that the mail was delivered through rain, through snow, through sleet, through hail.
Thick of night, I believe, was one of them.
We'll go with that. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. And also, I think the one that hurt the most, looking at your picks, that you it's and quite surprising because you speak of this person's praises all the time. Ron Jeremy, you've told me that he is your favorite adult actor. You say that you watch his movies multiple times throughout, the evenings. You're rooting for Ron Jeremy to go down.
No, I just think he's a safe pick based on the alleged health issues. I mean, he couldn't stand trial due to dementia, and they're saying he can't be on his own anymore.
Yeah, no, that was a good pick. I'll admit that was a good pick.
Surprised he's. I'm kind of surprised you missed Ron Jeremy, Brian.
Well, I looked at it from the perspective of when making my picks is that, 2024 is the year that the patriarchy has to come down. This is the year that we need to root for women. And I could think that the only way that I, as champion of the podcast, could really show just how much I hated the patriarchy is that I sat there when putting together my 2024 Death Pool picks. I picked only women because this year I'm rooting for women. I am not going to root for a man this year. I want to see women across the board finally get the recognition, get the honor, get the respect and the attention that they deserve. Therefore, when making my picks, I sat there and said, let the focus be on the woman, WOMYN, and not on the man, not on the patriarchy. Let's smash it down.
I'm sure that won't come back to bite you at all. So, well, thank you, William, for joining us. Congratulations on your win, and best of luck for 2024.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. So, a humble champion, a modest champion, if nothing else. But I feel this might be my year, Brian. I like my list. We always like our list, but I like my list. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Keep an eye out.
Ron,
What?
Ron, do you remember the last time you scored a point?
I hear it was 440 some days ago.
November 5th, 2022.
Yep. Listen, it's been a dry spell,
Ron,
but it's
Ron, which has happened more recently? Having sex with the wife, or no? I'm just kidding. More importantly, we can edit that out in post.
Of course.
But all joking aside, you were still champion when you scored your last point. Can you understand?
I was.
It's just the level.
I do understand that, yes. And I will be champion again when I score my next point.
You will never. Yes, that'll be sometime after I'm cold and dead, because that is the only way you are going to be getting this championship belt. By the way, people, while we're speaking about the championship of this podcast, the 6 pounds of gold. February 4th, we have a very special episode coming up. I believe that is going to be episode 290. We are going to have our podcast championship debate. Ron, Brian, we are going to go head to head in a moderated debate. We have picked a third party who's going to come on the show and moderate debate, because you and I can't speak without walls. We can't speak. If we were in the same room right now, we'd be strangling each other. You would tell me that I'm no John Kennedy. Yeah, pretty much. I would be I'd be throwing your coffee on the ground and telling you to drink like a real man.
Well, it's coming up. It's what, 3 weeks away now. So prepare for it. Block that night off. I mean, it's Pro Bowl Sunday. You're not going to be watching football that day. I think we're all aware of that. No. But what you should be doing, as I will be doing to prepare for the debate, drinking many bottles of the Ron and Brian podcast colloidal bronze. Again, available for $59.99 on our website. Brian, have you been doing the work this week?
Ron, this week I've been this week has been filled with a lot of challenges, a lot of distractions.
Let's talk about those.
Okay. So I've not been able to breathe comfortably through my nose.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's, I've been drinking a lot of water, a lot of tap water that I've been putting through my Brita filter. But, it's really hard. It's hard to go, to just really do the work when you're trying to focus on how long has it been since you emptied out the the crusties in your nose.
Right. So I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm taking that in. So I just to clarify, you are allowing your physical self to hold back your metaphysical self. You are allowing the shackles of your body to sodomize your soul. Is what I'm hearing from you.
It's violent sodomy going
Now
on.
you've had a lot of water. How many shots of colloidal bronze have you been putting in each glass of water?
Wait, I didn't have any. I didn't have any. It wasn't available yet. You just made it available during the show.
You should have had forethought to do the pre-order, Brian. And
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
Let's have a conversation after the show about that.
Of course. I
right.
mean, I need to do the work. I know.
I mean, I can give you a 30-minute session. You'll have to Venmo me the usual $150, but it will get you back on path. Yeah. Anyway, not a cult, just a friendly organization to support people. Brian, let's get into our stories of the week, stories that we want to make sure that we don't miss out on, because people will say we have the occasional tangent that we go off on, but these are the stories we want to make sure we cover. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Ron, by any chance, do you happen to have a photo of Missouri teacher Haley Clifton Carmack?
Not just a photo, Brian. We've got apparently this little photo collage that she used to hang in her school classroom. There's Mrs. Carmack, high school math, first year in service. Oh, she's got a husband and 2 daughters. She is left-handed and one of 7 siblings. Wow, she seems like teacher of the year, a potential candidate. Ryan, why is she in the news?
Chef's kiss. I will tell you why. Because she was arrested in Texas this week, Garden Ridge, Texas, after she had fled the state of Missouri to avoid arrest warrants on charges of. How do I? You know what? I do not want to go into specific, into the specific crimes. The charges against her are just scandalous.
Okay.
I will say this: Haley Clifton. She's been charged on. You know what? I will tell you what she's been charged with. She's been charged with statutory rape for allegedly having sex with a 16-year-old student of hers, while other students served as lookouts, with the boy's father also now facing a felony for condoning the disturbing relationship. That is correct. A fellow student snitched to the school's resource officer and reported the alleged illicit relationship at the end of December of last year. A witness then met with law enforcement officials to whom he showed photographs of his classmate with scratches on his back. The witness alleged that the scratches were from Haley after the confidential victim had sex with her in the driveway of another person's house. The witnesses also claimed that the math teacher had been in trouble with school administrators in the past. Keep in mind, this was her first year teaching.
I was going to say, she was a first-year teacher.
This lady did not waste time. She was a recently divorced mother of 2 who would often wear tight or low-cut shirts to show off, quote-unquote, her headlights and, quote, tight leggings to show off her camel toe. And this is coming from court documents, people. This is not my language. It's what is most shocking is that during the course of this relationship she was having with the 16-year-old, she would use other people's homes, other students' homes, and have them stand outside the room to make sure that their parents weren't coming home. So, Haley, you are the Ron and Brian podcast teacher of the month for January 2024.
So basically, in that first year of service, she managed to get in trouble at school prior to this and also get divorced from her husband.
Correct. But what about her children? Is anybody thinking about her children? The sanctity of marriage?
No? Apparently not.
Ron, what's your story of the week?
So Brian, are you familiar with a gentleman by the name of Denis Zubov? We'll pull up a photo of Mr. Zubov right here. So
I'm not
Mr.
sure if I should be attracted to this or not.
I mean, it's a thirst trap photo without a doubt, and I think probably part of the reason you're attracted is he is a Russian serial killer. Back in 2017, he had been sentenced to 21 years in a maximum security penal colony because he killed and mutilated 3 people. He started on after a difficult breakup with a woman he had been dating on September 1st, 2013. He viciously murdered a man believed to be his romantic rival and cut off his genitals. 2 days later, he beat an elderly woman to death with a wrench and cut off her breasts, and then stole 1,800 rubles and a wristwatch from her before setting the house on fire. A few months later, Zubov briefly reunited with that ex-girlfriend, but after the relationship fell apart again in the summer of 2014, he lured the woman into the forest and strangled her to death before burying her body nearby. Now, you would think this would be someone that you would want to perhaps spend life in prison, but he received a 21-year sentence in that maximum security penal colony. But apparently, after serving 6 years of that sentence, he was pardoned in exchange for going to serve on the front line in Russia's war against the Ukraine. So
oh my God.
So yes, they let a serial killer out of prison to fight in the Russian army. Not surprising. We saw at the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict how many deserters the Russian army has. So I guess they were they had to bring people like this on. But in a I guess twist of fate, karma, what have you, apparently he was killed in action back on April 20th of 2023. But his death was just uncovered by a group that tracks Russian soldiers killed in the Ukraine war. A roller coaster of a story.
I'm not sure whether I should be upset or happy right now.
I mean, I think you can be both. Brian, I think you need to own your emotions and you need to be okay with your emotions.
But I am okay. I just don't know what I'm feeling. I mean, sometimes you feel something and you know you're feeling it, but you just don't know. You don't know what you're feeling.
So go into that a little bit more, Brian. Tell me how you feel about what you're feeling and not what you're feeling.
Okay. So I'm kind of feeling sad that he was allowed out of prison, but I'm kind of feeling happy that he's dead. But
Okay,
I feel bad because I feel happy.
Well, and all right, and I get that. So kind of go a little bit deeper into the happiness and the sadness.
Well, the happiness is that there's
This time's gotta stop.
I'm sorry, Brian. Your account ran out of money. You'll have to re-up for us to have those conversations moving forward. But I hope we were able to supply some sort of help to you.
I feel frustrated now.
What other stories do we have this week, Brian?
You tell me. I mean, we've got, there was a slew of stuff that I remember earlier this week, sitting there thinking to ourselves, well, this seems a little fucked. And I think we need to, first off, I think at this point, why don't we go down to our famed crime section? You know what I mean? I love a good crime story. I feel like this was a bad week for infants.
It wasn't great. There were a couple of stories in there. One was out in Phoenix. Let me see if I have the mugshot. I don't have the mugshot right in front of me.
Sarah Lachey Harris, no?
Sarah Lachey Harris, 24-year-old Sarah Lachey Harris. She is a Phoenix woman who is accused of murder and child abuse following a deadly incident involving a 1-month-old infant. The incident happened in late July of last year, but the suspect was arrested on January 5th. Apparently, Phoenix police officers were called to a home on the morning of July 30th for reports of an infant not breathing. When officers arrived, they found the infant lying on a mattress on the living room floor. The child was unresponsive and declared dead at the scene. The cause of death was later determined to be tracheal mucus plugging in the setting on rhinovirus and enterovirus. Oh, that's a whole lot of words. Chloroformine intoxication and unsafe sleep environment. Basically, what the allocations state is that Harris, because her infant was fussy the night before, gave the baby infant ibuprofen, carried the baby around the apartment to sleep, and then she apparently went out to some nightclubs, and the baby died in her absence.
So was it the ibuprofen that killed the baby?
They think it was a combination of the ibuprofen and inability to breathe, because apparently whatever medicine the child needed was more than just ibuprofen.
Bad day, bad week for that baby.
Well, I mean,
Question:
yes.
Did anybody have that baby in the death pool?
Unfortunately, not.
That sounds like 99 points, my friend.
I mean, would it be 99 or would it be 100?
It's an infant. It was born automatically. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Because it wasn't 1 year old yet.
You get 100 points for an infant.
It's kind of dark. It's a little darker than I like to go sometimes. But I'm okay. You're the champ. You can live your life however you want. Going into Pennsylvania, a Pennsylvania woman is accused of fatally poisoning her boyfriend's 18-month-old daughter by feeding her batteries, screws, and nail polish remover after she researched the harmful effects the items could have on a child before the killing. This is Alicia Owens, age 20. She was arrested Thursday for the suspected homicide of Iris Rita Alfera after an autopsy determined the child died due to fatal levels of acetone in her blood. Owens had been living with Iris's father, Bailey Jacoby, when he left the house to go to the store on June 25th, 2023. Jacoby, who had visitation rights with Iris, then received a call from Owens that something was wrong with his daughter. He rushed to the Newcastle home to find his baby girl unresponsive and quickly called 911. The child was rushed to UPMC Jameson and passed away 4 days later due to organ failure.
This might be one of the worst stories we've ever covered.
It's up there. I mean, Owens told police the girl had hit her head and fell off the bed. But the autopsy showed that Iris had ingested numerous water beads along with button-shaped batteries and a metal screw months before she died.
Ron, I think it's a little inappropriate, but do you want to tell some of the jokes that you wrote based on off this story?
I did not, Brian, and I don't know why you
said that you had written a top 10 list, like a David Letterman top 10 things to feed a dead. And I just think it's inappropriate. But this woman needs to be fucking just immediately tied to the back of a boat and taken out into the water. If this is what she's done to a baby, how the fuck do you feed? I mean, this is just terrible.
So she faces a homicide charge and was also slapped with attempted homicide, aggravated assault of a child, endangering the welfare of a child, and other offenses leading up to the child's death. There seems to be a decent amount of evidence against her, including searches on her phone between February and June 2023, where she had been looking up, quote, information on household products that could cause a child serious harm or death, including water beads, battery, and nail polish. Police found that she had also searched, quote, beauty products that are poisonous to kids and medications leading to cause accidental poisoning deaths in children.
Fucking gross. Get her off the screen. I don't even want to look at her photo.
Does no one know about incognito mode? Like, why do you feel you can, if you want to kill someone, why do people constantly feel that they can do Google searches? I bet you DuckDuckGo is probably the preferred search engine for murderers out there these days, because they don't track what you're searching.
That reminds me of the video of the guy in Connecticut that killed his wife, where he's in court claiming that he's innocent of his wife going missing. Meanwhile, like they have his Google searches, and over like a weekend, his Google searches start with, "What's the best way to cut up a body?" To what acid should I use to dissolve body part? Like, and he's just standing there in court listening to the prosecuting attorney go over like all of his Google check, and he's holding a straight face. Like at no point did he sit there and it's like, oh fuck. Like at no point he just stood there like a bitch.
Like, did
Uncle
no
George.
one watch the coverage of the Casey Anthony case and how she was found to be like Googling how to make chloroform, in her on her computer?
Yeah, but she was found innocent. So like that's probably encouraging people to go on Google. Nobody would be
Possibly.
crazy enough.
Speaking of released murderers, have you been following Gypsy Rose Blanchard since she got out of prison after killing, or Gypsy Rose Blanchard?
Yes, of course. Listen, Queen all rise. Listen, she is living her best life, having come out of prison for the murder of her mother.
And she met a guy while she was in prison, got married. According to her Instagram reels, he's given her the good D. So she is living her best life.
Wasn't she on The View this week? I thought I saw somewhere that she was on The View.
She might have been. I mean, she's so hot right now. Everybody wants to interview her. I know Matt has reached out to her a few times. She has snubbed the Ron and Brian podcast. We sent her a case of Ron and Brian colloidal bronze as a teaser. Like, come on and join us. Would not do it.
Maybe she's drinking it anyway.
Perhaps.
Now I have a question. Do you think he calls her Gypsy, or do you think he calls her Gypsy Rose?
I mean, I think you got to go Gypsy Rose. Like, how could you just? Because Gypsy seems, seems like what everybody would call it. Like Gypsy Rose seems close. Right. Like, you're my little Gypsy Rose. Like Brian, you're my little Gypsy Rose. I just want you to know that. Are you being a good boy for me? Are you being a good boy for me, Gypsy Rose? Anyway, that just that went to a weird place.
Really?
More. What's that?
You think it went weird?
A little bit. More crime stories going to one of our favorite states, Florida. A 23-year-old Florida man allegedly stabbed his mother to death and wounded his two sisters ahead of a planned family cruise that was scheduled to leave the day after Christmas. This mugshot is of Connor Crumrine, who had allegedly told one of his siblings to, quote, sleep face down so that he can take her to heaven. He was charged with second-degree murder in the death of his mother, previously charged with 3 counts of aggravated battery with a weapon and resisting an officer without violence after one of his sisters, Casey Crumrine, called 911 to report the brutal attack taking place at their home in Chelsea Court and in Port Charlotte.
This is a guy?
That is a guy. That is Connor.
Listen, I know there's more than one gender, so I don't mean to say it's just an either or situation, but I'm saying that if this person, were to put a little makeup on, I could feel a certain way.
All right, fair enough. So he was yes.
What is he going to be charged with?
Let's see if we have. Oh, I already told you what he was going to be charged with. Were you nodding off again during
no, Ron,
while I was talking?
Ron, you were supposed to sit there. This is called improv, Ron. You never contradict
Is it?
Your improv partner. You yes and them. You sit there and you start making up charges. Too beautiful to be a guy, something like that. Yes. Allie's coming in with, looks like he's in Motley Crue. Shout at the devil. Right. Question. Now, once again, do not text your victims. This is, again, people do not know how to use cell phones. If you're going to kill your sister, don't text her, hey, I'm going to take you to heaven tonight. I mean, listen,
it wasn't a text. He literally, it wasn't a text. He literally told his family to sleep face down so that he can take her to heaven and keep her from going to hell. He also apparently began making statements to the family, trying to teach them how to get into a fetal position, and also made finger gun gestures towards them. The sisters told investigators that the family ended up sleeping in shifts with their bedroom doors locked.
That is fucked.
The
They should have
morning
killed
of
him.
the morning
They
of
should
the
have fed him
attack,
some batteries.
Jennifer was going to skip the cruise to take him to Charlotte Behavioral Health Care. He apparently attacked his mother when she told one of the sisters to call the center for help. So it's sad. It's another issue of untreated mental health is what it looks like.
Blame Reagan. Ron, can I ask you a question?
Of course, you can always ask me a question, Brian.
What are you watching?
What am I watching? We started watching Halo on Apple TV. It's a series, I guess, based on the video game Halo. It wasn't great. Watched a couple episodes of it. Looked like it might be interesting, like a sci-fi war kind of show, but did not do it for me. I didn't really watch much this week. There doesn't seem to be a lot of good content out at the moment. What did you watch?
Oh, you are wrong. You are so wrong. I started watching on Apple TV a show, a British show called Criminal Record. It is about the story of a British detective who tries to open up the books on a 10-year-old murder after she receives evidence that an innocent man was found guilty. And it really shows the headbutting that she has going up against the detective who put that man away in prison for 24 years. That show I've watched 2 episodes of, highly recommend. You know what I don't recommend?
What's that, Brian?
When your romantic partner says, "Oh, I'd like to watch that movie starring Kevin Hart about him stealing gold on an airplane."
Heist, I believe Netflix. It is.
It's called Lift.
Excuse me.
It was terrible, Ron. Oh my God, was it bad? I liked this movie more when it was called The Italian Job, and that's exactly what it is. It is the story of yes.
No, I was going to say it seemed like a movie that we've seen many, many times before.
Correct. Now, had they called this The Italian Job and just had Kevin Hart as the main guy in the crew, I would have had a better time with the movie. At least I wouldn't have been sitting there being like, this just feels so blatant. The idea is that, he leads this crew of art thieves who go around the world, liberating art from people that don't really appreciate art. But now the government, Interpol, pulls him aside and says, "Hey, listen, there's this terrorist that's moving $500 million in gold, and we need you to steal it from a moving airplane that's going over somewhere in Europe." It wasn't a fraction of clever as The Italian Job. It just didn't have, how The Italian Job really kind of put together all the pieces of the heist. This just didn't have that many. Highly do not recommend you watch it. And that's really what I watched this week.
I did try to watch the Pete Davidson stand-up special, the new one, Turbo Fonzarelli. Got through about 10 minutes of it. It wasn't good.
It's also possible that he's not going after, the cis white male vote.
It's possible. I just feel he's kind of lost his edge a little bit. Like maybe he's too medicated now, if that is such a thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ron, that you're placing his mental health below your entertainment. Wow. That's rough. That is insensitive. It's insensitive.
See, Janelle backs me up here. Janelle says Pete Davidson's stand-up isn't that funny. Like, I think just listening to him talk about things is funny. I think some of his SNL stuff is funny, but his stand-up not his strongest work, I would say. Just my take on it.
Fuck him. All right. Okay. I didn't realize
another
you were
crime
going
story,
after the
Brian.
What?
Said another crime story in Tennessee. A Tennessee school board member tied to the conservative group Moms for Liberty was arrested after allegedly shoplifting from Target on 7 different occasions. This is Carrie Blair, age 43, arrested on January 5th for property theft charges after skip scanning items at Target self-checkout stations 7 different times from November 25th to December 20th. The allegedly stolen items amounted to $728.61. Blair had served as part of the Collierville School Board, but resigned following charges against her, citing, quote, personal family reasons.
Well, the reason is that she couldn't not steal, is what you're telling me.
Right. The personal family reasons being she stole personal stuff for her family for some reason.
Jeez, well, how do you know it was for her family? Maybe it was just for her. Maybe she was just nicking stuff.
Possibly, very possibly. They didn't say what the items were, just that she was skip scanning, which apparently is a thing, Brian, that I was not aware of. Do you skip scan at your
skip scanning?
Apparently, it's when you use a self checkout and you skip scanning some of the items. You just bag it up.
I do not believe in self checkout.
No,
no. I feel like it's a way that supermarkets have attempted to eliminate jobs while at the same time making the customer do the work without offering a discount in pricing. They sit there and they offer you the convenience of it. Keep in mind, no offense, how many fucking times have you swiped something on a self-scanner and then suddenly there's the big red beep and it goes, await for customer service. Someone's on their way right now, No, I avoid it. I think it's terrible that they've normalized that shit. Hate it.
I'm personally a fan.
Do you do a lot? Go ahead.
Listen, Ron. Just say something bad about me, Brian, because I'm sure using self-checkout for some reason makes me a bad person.
No, it doesn't make you a bad person. I know you don't even like going to the stores. You have your shit delivered. How are you going to fucking lie right now and say that you go to a store?
Well, no.
And
so what will happen at times is if I have like 1 or 2 things that was out of stock in one of my deliveries, I will have to run into the store and get it. And so I don't want to have to wait in a long line for like 1 or 2 things. I like the ability to just go and just scan a couple things and get the hell out of there.
Do you ever skip scan?
I don't skip scan. And it's weird. I mean, you can do it at Target and Home Depot. You can't do it at my grocery store because every time you scan something, you have to put it in the bag because there's a scale where the bags are, so it can tell if you put something down that's weighted or not. But the self-checkout at Home Depot and Target don't work the same way. You just scan it and it just assumes it doesn't track the weight of your bag or anything. So now, if you are going to Home Depot,
if you haven't done it, but how do you know if you're like, oh, you can do this at Home Depot? But that means
because I can scan something at Home Depot and put it into the cart. I don't have to put it on the little bagging area. That's how I know. Out of the two of us, I'm going to say you've stolen more stuff than I have.
You know what my new thing is?
What I'm afraid to ask
is sometimes when I'm going home at the when I'm getting on the PATH train at the World Trade Center, sometimes there's one of the turnstiles where the flap is just like locked in an open position. And I just make a beeline right for that one. And I just follow everybody else as we walk through it and not pay. So I would say I use that 2 to 3 times a week on my way home.
There you go. Listen, it's your way of fighting back against the man.
Listen, nowadays, thanks to Biden economics, anything you can do now to hold on to some of your hard-earned money, keeping it in your family's coffers, as opposed to just handing it over to the government, I'm going to do it.
Listen, I got a bunch of free stuff yesterday in my Walmart delivery that wasn't mine. I'm counting that as a win, my friend.
Question: what did you get for free?
So So basically, the delivery driver left way too many bags. So I knew it was more stuff
Right.
than what was in my order. But once they've delivered it and left, like Walmart doesn't want it back. They're just like, all right, just keep it,
Correct.
donate it, throw it away, whatever. So it was a
anything
couple bags of riced cauliflower, a couple bags of shredded kale, a 4-pound bag of frozen chicken wings. You know, I'm going to be cooking those up. A big box
Score!
of Eggo blueberry waffles, some Texas toast,
Ooh.
and some Forbidden chocolate ice cream from Friendly's. It was good. It was a good haul. So, but again,
I
it
would say
was
it's
probably a
good.
good $30-$40 in free stuff. And like you said, I feel like I'm striking back directly against the Walton family.
Why did you go like this? Like, have you been reading Mein Kampf? Because you're like directly at the.
I was making a point.
Directly-
It was straight. It wasn't up. It was straight. It was emphatic.
Going after the Waltons.
Brian, you wanted
Yes.
to point out that something exciting happened this past week in France. You're normally not a fan of France. You have often said in the
Hate the
past,
French.
and I think I wrote it down here. You have said, quote, fuck France. But you were very proud of him this week because Gabriel
Yes.
Attal was named as France's youngest ever prime minister, and also the first openly gay prime minister. So here's
Absolutely. Congratulations.
so President
he's
Emmanuel
not the president.
Macron. No, I'm
Macron.
saying President Emmanuel Macron is seeking a fresh start for the
Macron.
rest of his term, and growing political pressure from the far right. Attal, age 34, rose to prominence as the government spokesman, then education minister, and is polled as the most popular minister in the outgoing government.
Hey, the French do.
Yes.
The French get it right every now and then.
They do. Exactly.
Congratulations.
Oh, Allie said here, the straight hand movement is the apprentice. You're fired move. So still, I get it. You're fired, Brian. You're fired. Listen, I asked you to lead this project. You did not break a single law. You did not accept a single bribe. And you did not use the N-word towards any of your subordinates. Because of that, you're fired.
Sorry, Gary Busey. You're going to have to leave.
Oh my God, Gary Busey. I have to admit, I do miss the Celebrity Apprentice. If for nothing else, it was one of the most ridiculous pieces of television that was ever formed.
Yeah, it made the country worse.
It did, without a doubt. Apparently, Chris Saletti has a good picture of your hand from over the weekend. Where was that hand?
No idea.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We're about to wrap up this show and get ready for After Dark. What's that? You don't know what After Dark is? Well, our Patreon subscribers do. That is an extra content, about a half hour every Sunday night that we start at 9:30, so about 23 minutes from now. If you don't belong to our Patreon, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. If you subscribe at the $10 level or higher, we will send you a link where you can join us live on air. There is a ton of swag available. Also, ronandbrianpodcast.com is where our web store is. Soon to be available, Ron and Brian Colloidal Bronze. We will get that up there. Mugs available, keychains, stickers. We had the masks, but we've discovered since then masks don't work against this fake virus. So
No.
we have taken the mask down from the site. But regardless, the Patreon is worth the money. So Brian, let's get ready for the After Dark. Is there anything else you want to tell these good people before we roll out of here?
I love each and every one of you for watching, for spending this hour with us. I thank you so much. Listen, just try to be nice to each other. That's all you can do.
All right. Excellent words, Brian. Always be good to each other and yourselves, and we will catch you next Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again